Hello, welcome to a very special video today. We're going to do a little bit of, as I back up the focus on the shot, a little bit of painting on some foot knights. Now, my objective today is to do a little bit of a Redmane's knight kind of paint job on Elden Ring faction. They were in Caelid. That's the reason why we have the somewhat lighter ground right there, if you're familiar with Elden Ring at all. So how did I do this? Well, first off, I used my own blend of primer. It's a 2-to-1 mix of Stynylrez gray primer and Stynylrez white primer. Mix until you're effectively what you want. I was going for something similar to Gray Seer, and that's what I went from. After that, on the base, I used Rubby Fur from Speed Paints. I watered that down 1-to-1 with water, just in case you're wondering. And for the white parts, we used a little bit of this Vallejo Ivory. That was just to get it, because red usually goes over a white a little bit better. So the question is, do you go over the metallics first, or do you go over the cloth first? And normally, what I would say is, I'm going to go over the metallic, and for that I am going to use oily steel, and that's going to go on the helmet, the chainmail, I believe it's a falchion he's using, but I could be wrong. Let me know, history buffs. And it's going to be a real simple job. We're just going to put a little bit on the palette, and we're going to grab our brush, get it a little bit wet real quick, swamp. Grab that, and what we're going to do is we're going to hit up the helmet area. We're going to get that nice and coated, along with the whole helmet, the weapon, of course, and of course the chainmail. And once we get that, we'll be right back. Alright, so once we've gotten the metallics taken care of, don't worry too much if you spill over in some other parts. You can always get those covered real quick. Just grab your ivory, go over any of the spillovers, you're fine. Don't worry about any of the mess, just get the stuff done and then take care of any tidying up you need to do. So, I was looking at these Redmane guys, and I realized that my original plan to make the strapping, like this belt you can see, brown was not going to work because they actually have black belting, or so on and so on. And I decided, well, I'm going to try this Grim Black. It's got a nice little bit of a shade to it, and quite honestly, it's not a huge amount that we have to do. And, well, you can use anything you really want. There's not really any issue there as I get the brush going. I want to get a decent amount, make sure we can control it. I tested it on the back of my hand. I'm going to slip in here real quick and try not to immediately take up all of it. But this belting here, we're going to go ahead and just hit up real quick. I need a little bit more than that, but I was not trusting myself to not make a giant fap of the whole thing. And unfortunately, we have a really bad angle. So we're just going to come in, we're going to hit that there. Now we're not going to worry too much because we can come back in and clean all of this up. Again, doing all the messiest parts now so that we don't have to worry about. Just hit up all of the strapping on him with that, and then we'll do a little cleanup and come right back after that. Okay, before we get too far ahead of ourselves, what I want to do before I did a cleanup phase is kind of just show you how things are. So we got a little bit of the strapping on his feet, as you can see there. We got the belt. And we got some of the falchion's grip. We went ahead and just went with black for all those because, well, he's going to be very, very red. So we're just going to go from there. But again, don't let the enemy of good be perfect. Perfection is not the goal when you're doing any of this, so there's going to always be a little bit of mess. No matter how experienced someone is, there's always going to be a cleanup phase. So I just wanted to cover that right before we jumped into the next part. And that's going to be really simple. We're going to start with our reds. And I've selected 2 out from a selection of them. And those are going to be our, let's see, Reaper Paints Clotted Red 09134. And the lighter color, which is probably going to be the main one, Carnage Red 09135. Alright, so the thing is, you want to have a decent amount of control, but you have to remember red is a pain in the butt color to paint on a lot of things. It's probably not as bad in some cases as white used to be, but what we want is we want to have fairly good control. And we're going to want to hit up, as I struggle yet again, the upper part of his surcoat here. We're just going to do a little bit there. And the lower part as well. So we'll come back after we get that. Now it's going to look a little patchy, so you're going to need to do probably 1 or 2, maybe possibly 3 thin coats. And we'll be right back once we've done that. Now that my neighbor's done playing his music as loud as possible, we're going to talk about a few things. So first off, I wanted to point out that I had got the strap on his helmet. I was a little bit messier than normal. I just wanted to make the point that you can easily clean this up. It's more important about getting these lower details or upper details and then doing any of the fix-up you need to do. Also, I forget the exact name, but the letter about under here, where you can see it right there, I went ahead and hit that with Grim Black as well. And this is what we look like after a few thin, even coats of the, oh geez, I put it off to the side like an idiot, clotted red. And you know, it looks pretty nice. You could technically stop here, but he has a bit of face exposed, I realized all of a sudden. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring in a couple other paints. You don't have to use these exact ones, but they're the ones I got at the moment. We're going to say that kind of he lives in a, not exactly the sunniest place. So we're going to use Fair Skin and Fair Skin Shadow. And we're just going to hit up that little patch of skin right there that we can see. And you don't have to go super crazy. I mean, some folks will, decide they want to do the eyes. You don't have to do the eyes. Again, this is about doing something so that you enjoy it, as I fumble over here with the lid that doesn't want to work. And we're just going to slide him over here as my hand yet again gets in the way. We're just going to hit that area up a little bit with this, and we'll go from there. Now again, you could use black to blacken in the eye sockets. You could just ignore them depending on you, but we'll be right back as we get everything ready for our next stage. Hey, welcome back. We're getting to a little bit more of a point. We've got the face with the base in there for our fair skin, which is what we're going with. But we also have a couple other guys. As you can see, this is what our red looks like at this point. We've got this white spot still we'll be taking care of. Now, here's a couple others I did, and I mixed things up a little bit. We have a half on the left, and we have a quarter on the right here. And I also did a little bit of painting on the helmets with a stripe on the top of his helmet to help break things up. And the face mask on our guy here, if it does focus. Let's try this. There we go. And his face mask in red. So what are we going to do next? We're going to be hitting up some of these spots that are white with our royal purple, or 09240. So let's go ahead and grab our guy here. Where are we going to be hitting the purple up with? As we wait for it to focus, we're going to be hitting up the white area with this purple. Now this is probably going to take a couple coats, so don't get too worried if it looks a little bit patchy going on. You're going to have a little bit of that no matter what you do. We're going to hit up that purple, and we'll be back once we've gotten that into a solid coat. Bye-bye. Okay, now that we have the flesh taken care of, we have all the straps, and we have managed to get the purple on with a somewhat even coat with the red. What we're going to be doing is I mixed those two colors with the ivory white. Now, I prefer to do it with an ivory white as opposed to a more intensive white, because they can desaturate the color a little bit more. And what we're going to do is I try to get a hold of our guy here and bring him in. These edges, we're going to be hitting them up to create a definition and a line between these colors. So I'm going to do that real quick, and I'll be right back, and we'll show you what I did. Okay, everybody. After a little bit, as I adjust the camera, okay, it's fighting me now. Okay, after a little bit of getting everything set, what I did was, if I can turn them around, is I came around and I black lined with some deep gray from War Game Fanatics between the, if I can bring this in here, between the purple and the red, because I wasn't happy with how visually divided it was, but I didn't want to go too light on either of the colors. So I did that all the way around, and I just kind of slowly drew a line, and then I bulked it up as I went. Now, the other thing I did after doing all that is I did a little bit of highlighting. I took ivory with the base colors, and I came in and I hit the edges and some of the raised spots. After I did that, I did what would have been considered a grave sin in my region at the time, or at least back in the day it would have been. Don't know about now. But I took a dry brush, I loaded it with the ivory, I got it as unloaded as possible, and I hit up all of the different spots. Now, this will in some cases make your models look a little dusky. They'll look a little bit messy, but it will help a lot with hitting a lot of the highlights, and it'll give you your highest highlight without having to have three versions of the same color. You can use ivory with your base color, and then just ivory with a dry brush, depending on the model. It doesn't work with everything. Let's bring in our third guy. And I did a little bit more work to try to make them a little bit more, because these models are very similar in a lot of ways. What you can use is, like, I have his face mask red with the little upper part as red as well, but on him it's red on that. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to hit a few other spots before we wash these guys. Now, washing is usually a good way to tie everything in. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit a few spots that need it with a metallic, let's go with Vallejo Brass 10301. This should be interesting. We're going to hit a few places up, like the guards, the butts, and maybe a few of the visors and areas of interest to kind of make them a little bit more interesting, and we'll come right back with that. Okay guys, we're going to adjust the camera just a tiny bit. We always go with zoom in for some reason. Now we got the metallics done. We've done a little bit of cleanup on the helmet. Now I switched it from the Vallejo brass to Retributor gold since I had some of that left over. I liked it standing out a little bit more. So the last thing we're really going to do with this is we're going to hit these guys up with a bit of a focused wash. And it's going to go on the metallics and basically around the one guy's face that's exposed. And we'll come back after that and we'll talk a little bit about how that'll look. Now, depending, there's all kinds of different washes you can use. You can use army painters, you can use the others, and there's a stream going on next door. So if you hear that, I'm sorry about that. But hey, we'll be right back. Okay, since we've done most of this off camera, we're just gonna come in and we're gonna do a little bit on, let's go over our guy right here. Now, effectively, washes are one of those things that can help bring out a ton of detail. Now, I'm going to be using it pretty liberally here. But as you can see, it will pull up, and what you want to do is soak that up and then move it somewhere else. I don't know how common knowledge that is, but hey, effectively, you want to use this as a shadow, especially with metallics. You want to just get in there, slap it on those metallics, get that definition. It's like your money for nothing and your chicks for free. But mostly, keeping things from getting too bad. You can see, effectively, it does help bring out some of the definition. We're going to let it be a little bit more ugly on there, but we're going to avoid the fabrics in this case, and we'll be right back. Hey guys, this is the last little bit after they have been, shaded with, dark tone from Army Painter and allowed to dry, and then just given a little bit of touch-ups on the metallics to make them a little bit brighter on the edges. Now, this is a bit of a more drab style than I normally would go with, because I would probably go with much darker colors. But effectively, there's a lot of ways you can do painting with these kind of guys. And honestly, when it comes down to it, these are fantastic little models. And I just wanted to paint them like Rodin's guys. So if you like this, you want to see more, let me know. If you have your own ideas or you want to share some of what you've done, hey, I'm also interested in seeing what you got. And have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.